Um, let's see here. Outside of that, I think it's time for our discussion segments. So it's been a couple weeks since we've had a little bit of a chat, and this week's topic I think will be very, very interesting. So, a couple of weeks ago, I think I was just scrolling socials. I was getting posts ready or something like that. I was getting drops ready, and the thought came across my mind of hobbies outside of music, right? And I'm sure everybody has hobbies outside of music. But what I mean by that is like how many artists have other hobbies outside of creating music full time, right? Like if making music is like your bread and butter and your number one, um do you have something else outside of music that you go to that is somewhat creative or you get inspired by, right? So I'm talking movies, I'm talking media, I'm talking photography, I'm talking video games, I'm talking nature walks, I'm talking going outside, I'm talking sports, you know what I mean? I'm talking things like that. And it occurred to me how well some artists kind of incorporate what they like into their music, right? Because obviously, like, music is number one. That's your number one priority. That's everything for you. But a lot of artists have hobbies outside of that, right? Like, a lot of artists enjoy movies. A lot of artists do photography. A lot of artists kind of are into sports, right? I think wrestling is another big one, too. Um, Things like that. So it kind of occurred to me that, like, I noticed that the artists that have, like, passionate hobbies outside of music kind of turn around and put it right back in their music, right? There's a couple artists that kind of come to mind that do things outside of music that I think really benefit their music as a whole, right? So if you're out here kind of, say you start a podcast, right, for sports, right? And, you kind of do that on the side. You're creating content for that, but then in turn, it kind of helps your music as well because you're kind of bringing over sports fans into your music life as well, and they kind of work with each other, right? And they kind of feed into each other, and that's kind of like what happened here on Twitch for me. I think I'm somewhat of a very interesting example here, right? Because when I started streaming on Twitch, it wasn't like I wanted to, just start streaming, right? Like I'm pretty sure we were just sitting in the Discord in like 2019, 2020, and we'd be sitting there like just for hours, like recording, sending shit back and forth, sending each other beats, whatever. And I would just turn on Skate 3 in the background, and then like I'd want to like show my friends clips, and like this is before like screen sharing in Discord was a thing. So this is where I kind of was like, all right, fuck it, like I'll throw up a Twitch stream. And then I started streaming, and all the homies would just come in there, and we'd all, make jokes and just shoot the shit, whatever. And that's kind of like how I ended up streaming, right? But then again, when I wasn't doing that, I kept streaming, right? So I got into streaming things that I had always played, right? So like COD Zombies was something that like I grew up on like um, since I was a teenager. So that was like a no-brainer for me. And when I started playing zombies, that's when I started to get like a decent following on Twitch. And that's where I was like, okay, like this is pretty interesting. Like I kind of see the vision here, but it's not like I was out here like actively promoting my music. Like every once in a while I'd promote the music and things like that. But the amount of people that came in from like say the zombies community or just like any gaming community, and they kind of were like, oh shit, you make music, no way, and da da da. So it kind of cross pollinates, right? Because if you're not like actively promoting it in places that it normally wouldn't be, I think it makes people a little bit more curious, because they check your bio and then they're like, oh shit, they make music, and they click the link and da da da. And that's how I found that like that cross pollination kind of process really helps. And I noticed that artists are really doing that a lot, right? Again, sport is a big one, wrestling is a big one. Um, Even any kind of like movies or media, TV shows, I think that's a really big one. So those sorts of things are like super super important for artists to kind of bring your music to places that it wouldn't be otherwise. You know what I mean? So super super important shit. Sam's raps in the chat. Let's get it, baby. No stream today, so oh yeah, no worries, homie. No worries. So I'm here making some pulled pork. Let's fucking get it. Let's fucking get it. Love that. Yeah, no worries at all, homie. No worries. Um, but yeah, that's one thing that I thought of, and again, obviously making music is like number one, right? That's like the bread and butter. That's what you want to be doing 24/7. But if you do have other hobbies like outside of music, I think it's worth kind of cross pollinating and um, kind of creating content for that too, right? Especially gaming. I think gaming and music mix really well unintentionally. So I feel like that's another like really, really important thing. And I just encourage artists to go out and like try to mix their hobbies a little bit, you know, like again, sports, media, movies, TV shows, do what you can to, you know, get into those kind of communities, and then people become curious of who you are as a creator, right? And then they're like, oh my god, you make beats, oh you make music, oh you play guitar, whatever. And then at the same time, you know, you're really kind of broadening what kind of people have access to you, right? It becomes a lot more easier to kind of relate to you, you know, because they're like, oh, I like him for this. Oh, he makes music. Oh, but he does sports stuff too, you know? So you're really kind of mixing those communities. And I think that's like a super, super important part of this. And it really only benefits everybody. So again, just keep that in mind, and don't be afraid to like pursue other hobbies while you're um, taking the music career path, right? I think obviously, like I said, music being full time is super important, but it's really good to get inspired by other shit as well. So you can go back and kind of like put that shit right back into your music, you know? So I think that's super, super important. And I see a lot of artists do it more and more now, you know what I mean? Um, there's quite a few that come to mind, but you'll see what I'm talking about, and it's definitely worth pursuing your other interests and kind of mixing the two, you know, because I'm not saying like, oh, like go into like a sports community and, and start talking about fucking your music and shit. That's not what I'm talking about. But like go mingle with other communities, right? And then other people get curious on who you are as a creator and like what you do, you know? Because that's how it was for me, you know, because they check the bio, they check the links, they're like, oh my god, you make music, I didn't know that. And then all of a sudden you have a new supporter, you know, in a place where you wouldn't have normally expected it, you know? Because I do think people get so caught up all the time of like, you know, promoting in places and being in places that have to do with music, that sometimes it really does work like outside of other communities, you know, and it's just something to think about. You know what I mean? Definitely something to think about. But um, that's that, my friends. We'll definitely upload this on the Music Mondays YouTube channel. So again, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video. We upload 2 times per week, every Thursday, every Saturday. Full podcast episodes, exclusive segments, a lot of good jazz over there on the channel. So make sure you go show these artists on the channel some love. Let's get it.